Disturbing Crimes Part 9, Halloween Morning. On Halloween morning 2010 in Ottawa County, Ohio, 16-year-old Devin Griffin came home from church to a nightmare. Inside, he found his mother, Susan Lisk, his stepfather, William Lisk Sr., and his stepbrother, Derek Griffin, all brutally beaten and shot to death. Investigators quickly identified the suspect, William B.J. Lisk, Susan's 24-year-old son and Devin's half-brother. BJ had a history of mental illness and past violence toward the family. Police arrested him the next day at a friend's house in Toledo. In 2011, Lisk pleaded guilty to 3 counts of aggravated charges to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, serving his time at Ross Correctional Institution. On March 31, 2015, guards found him dead in his cell. His death was ruled as a self-unaliving. The Halloween family tragedy remains one of Ohio's darkest cases. Disturbing Crimes Part 10, Halloween Night. In 2008, on Halloween night, 12-year-old T.J. Darasol went trick-or-treating with his father and brothers. The family went to a home because the porch light was on, the universal signal that trick-or-treaters are welcome. Inside the home, 22-year-old Quentin Patrick, a convicted felon, thought he was being robbed. Patrick opened fire with an AK, unleashing 29 shots through the door and front of the house. TJ was determined to get candy first, so he was standing in front when the shots were fired. TJ saved us that night, said his father, Freddie Grinnell Jr. Freddie and another son were wounded but survived. When the shooting stopped, the door swung open. Patrick stood there and said, "Oh no." Freddie recalled, "I was holding my son while he was bleeding, and he was backing out of the yard." Later, Freddie said, "The injury to my arm is not as bad as the injury to my heart. I've lost a piece of my heart forever." TJ's mother, Daphne Grinnell, said he liked baking cakes. In part, he loved licking the batter. He loved math and board games and was on his middle school drill team. Patrick was charged with murder and 3 counts of assault and battery with intent to kill. Daphne said he should have to live every day in jail and see it and feel it every day for the rest of his life. Freddie added, "I'm sorry does not bring my child back. I want justice." Disturbing Crimes Part 11, Halloween Night. On October 31st, 1957, Sun Valley, California, Peter Fabiano, 35, was at home with his wife, Betty, and his stepdaughter, Judy, handing out candy on Halloween night. Around 11 p.m., the doorbell rang. Peter got out of bed, put on his dressing gown and slippers, and went to answer the door. As he opened, he said, "Isn't it a little late for this?" And the person replied, "No." A gunshot fired seconds later. Betty ran downstairs and found Peter bleeding near the door, clutching his chest. Judy alerted their neighbor, police officer Bud Alper. Peter was rushed to the hospital and was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. He'd been shot once in the chest with a small caliber bullet. Police suspected the killer wore a Halloween costume based on Peter's comment at the door. November 12, 1957, Joan Rabel, 40, a Lithuanian-born photographer who had worked at Peter's salon, was arrested. She had borrowed a friend's car that matched one seen near the scene and lied about her whereabouts. Goldine Pizer, also in her 40s, later confessed to taking part in the murder, saying Rabel persuaded her to do it. On September 21st, 1957, Rabel and Pizer planned the murder, bought a .32 caliber revolver, and chose Halloween so Pizer could wear a disguise. On Halloween night, Rabel drove while Pizer, dressed in costume, rang the Fabiano's doorbell with the pistol hidden in a paper bag. Pizer exchanged words with Peter, then shot him once in the chest. Both women initially pleaded not guilty, but changed their pleas to guilty of second-degree murder on March 11, 1958. They were each sentenced to 5 years to life in prison. Pizer died in Los Angeles, 1998. Rabel's later life remains unknown. In 2022, Irina Zarutska had fled war-torn Ukraine for the U.S. with her family, seeking refuge and opportunity. She worked at a pizzeria in Charlotte, North Carolina, studied English, and dreamed of becoming a veterinary assistant. On the evening of August 22, 2025, while riding the Lynx Blue Line in Charlotte, Irina was fatally stabbed from behind. The attacker, DeCarlos Brown Jr., had a long criminal history and suffered from serious mental health issues. The fatal attack raised immediate questions about public transit security, mental health systems, and protections for vulnerable individuals. Her death sparked a new law in North Carolina known as Irina's Law, intended to strengthen criminal justice and public safety measures. Her family calls her the kind, creative young woman who only wanted to build a new life, and now they demand justice and reform. Disturbing Crimes, Part 14. Jason Thornburg, a 44-year-old man from North Texas, was sentenced to death after a grotesque crime spree. On September 22, 2021, firefighters in West Fort Worth responded to a dumpster fire and made a horrifying discovery. Human body parts badly burned and dismembered. Thornburg, an electrician's apprentice, was linked by motel and surveillance footage. He admitted that he believed he was making human sacrifices, claiming victims including his roommate and 2 women he knew casually. He confessed to dismembering one man in the motel bathtub, storing body parts in trash bags and bins, then burning them. In court, he shockingly claimed he ate part of one victim's heart and said he believed he had a divine calling rooted in in-depth biblical knowledge. He also admitted to earlier murders, one of his ex-girlfriend in Arizona 2017 and a former roommate in 2021. In November 2024, he was convicted of capital murder and given the death penalty in Tarrant County. This stark case raises urgent questions about mental illness, religion-driven extremism, and how the system handles true monsters among us. Subscribe for more disturbing crimes. Disturbing Crimes, Part 15. In 2010, the McStay family, Joseph, his wife Summer, and their 2 young sons, Gianni and Joseph Jr., vanished from their new home in Fallbrook, California. Their 2 dogs were left behind. Inside their home, rotting food on the counter, clothes on the floor, but no signs of forced entry. Nearly $100,000 was still untouched in Joseph's bank account, and their car was later found near the Mexican border, leading police to believe they may have left voluntarily. But in 2013, that theory shattered when a motorcyclist found human remains in the Mojave Desert. Investigators discovered the entire McStay family buried in 2 shallow graves. They had been beaten to death with a sledgehammer. A year later, Joseph's former business partner, Charles Chase Merritt, was arrested and charged with murder. Prosecutors said Merritt killed the family after Joseph accused him of stealing money and decided to cut ties. In 2020, Merritt was convicted and sentenced to death, still claiming he was innocent. He is still fighting for appeals today. At sentencing, Joseph's mother called him a despicable monster, heartbroken over the loss of her son and grandsons. The McStay family story remains one of California's most haunting modern tragedies. Between 1918 and 1919, New Orleans lived in fear. A shadow crept through the night, the Axeman breaking into homes, killing families and vanishing without a trace. His weapon of choice? An axe found in the homes of his victims. The terror began on May 23, 1918, when Joseph and Catherine Maggio were found murdered in their own home. From there, the pattern was clear. He targeted Italian grocers and their families. Broke in through doors or windows using a chisel. Always used the victims' axes, never his own. Some victims survived, but none could describe him. On March 13, 1919, a letter hit the Times-Picayune. The killer claimed he was a demon from the hottest hell and promised more blood, unless you played jazz in your home. When March 19th came, New Orleans exploded with jazz. Every home, every club, and no one was killed. The murders stopped as suddenly as they began. The Axeman was never caught. To this day, he remains one of America's darkest mysteries, a killer who loved jazz and disappeared into the music. Between 1888 and 1892, London was haunted by Jack the Ripper. Dozens of murders were blamed on him, but the police could only link 5, the so-called Canonical Five. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. All were brutally murdered and mutilated with surgical precision. For over a century, people said they were all women of the night, but in 2019, a new theory dropped. They were just poor, homeless, or trying to survive, victims of misogyny and class prejudice in Victorian London. The Ripper even mailed half a human kidney to the police with letters taunting them. But despite the massive manhunts, the killer was never caught. The police commissioner even resigned from the scandal. Over 130 years later, Jack the Ripper's identity remains one of history's darkest mysteries. Charles Manson was the leader of a cult known as the Manson family, active in California during the late 1960s. He preached about an impending apocalyptic race war called Helter Skelter, his own twisted version based on the Beatles song. Manson manipulated followers, mostly young, disillusioned women, into believing he was a messianic figure. In August 1969, he directed his followers to commit a series of brutal murders to spark this race war. His victims were actress Sharon Tate, Stephen Parent, Jay Sebring, Gary Hinman, Wojciech Frykowski, Abigail Folger, Leno LaBianca, his wife Rosemary LaBianca, and Donald Shea. Manson didn't kill anyone, but got his followers to do it for him. He was convicted of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. He was sentenced to death in 1971, but his sentence was commuted to life in prison after California abolished the death penalty. Manson died in prison in 2017 at the age of 83. It is January 15th, 1947, the start of the Black Dahlia case. A mother was walking with her child in Los Angeles making a horrifying discovery. A vacant lot. She finds what looks like a mannequin, but it's not. It's the body of a young woman, sliced cleanly in half at the waist. There's no blood at the scene, meaning she was killed somewhere else. Police quickly arrived, and the FBI is called in to help identify the victim. Using a sound photo, an early fax machine, the FBI matches the blurred fingerprints in just 56 minutes. The victim, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress. The press soon gives her a haunting nickname, the Black Dahlia. Her fingerprints were already in FBI records, once from a job application at an army camp, and again from an arrest for underage drinking. Investigators suspect her killer may have had medical training. The cuts were too precise. The FBI runs checks on medical students, records on suspects, even analyzes the fingerprints from taunting letters sent to police. No match. No solid leads. To this day, the case only grows colder. Imagine walking into a home and are greeted with the sight of human flesh, stacks of bones, and tubs of fat, as if it were a butcher house. When police searched Karl Denke's home in 1924, they were met with a nightmare. Denke lived in Silesia, then part of Germany, now Zebes, Poland. To the people, he was Papa Denke, a kind old man who helped travelers. But for years, he lured the homeless and drifters into his home, and they never came out. His crimes began in 1903 and ended in 1924, with at least 30 confirmed victims, possibly more. The truth came out when one man escaped after Denke attacked him with an axe and went straight to the police. Denke was arrested soon after, but hanged himself in his cell before he could be tried. Beneath the streets of Paris lies the skeletal remains of more than 6 million people. In the late 18th century, the city faced two deadly problems: underground limestone quarries collapsing and cemeteries so overcrowded they turned into health hazards. In 1774, a massive sinkhole on the Rue de l'Enfer swallowed houses, forcing the city to confront the hidden mines beneath. Around 1,785 bones from Paris's closed cemeteries were transferred at night into the abandoned tunnels, a macabre solution to the public health crisis. Today, one can walk through skull-lined walls and femur archways, the dead of nobles and paupers alike, arranged without distinction. And then the myths creep in. Visitors whisper of footsteps echoing in the dark corridors, unseen figures at the edge of their vision, and the story of a man named Philibert Aspert, who in 1793 entered the tunnels and vanished. His body found 11 years later near an exit. Whether haunted by ghosts, memories, or the sheer weight of 6 million remains, the catacombs remain one of the world's most chilling places, a graveyard of the forgotten beneath a lively city. Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old data engineer from Maryland, was accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December 2024. Prosecutors say Mangione traveled to New York City days before the shooting, using fake names and staying in a hostel while tracking Thompson's movements. On December 4th, around 6:45 a.m., Thompson was walking near West 54th Street when a masked gunman shot him several times with a 9mm fitted with a suppressor. Shell casings found on the scene were etched with the words "deny, defend, and depose," phrases linked to healthcare insurance claim practices. Mangione fled on a bike through Central Park, sparking a nationwide manhunt. He was caught 5 days later in Atlanta, Pennsylvania, with the gun, silencer, and the fake ID he used to get into the hostel. Investigators say they found a manifesto in his bag criticizing the health insurance industry. He's pleaded not guilty and faces both state and federal murder charges, possibly the death penalty if convicted. This is the real-life boogeyman, Albert Fish. He was born in 1870 and became one of America's most disturbing killers. As he grew up, Fish developed sadomasochistic desires and began harming himself and others. He married young and had 6 children, but after his wife left him, his behavior spiraled out of control. Between the 1910s and late 1920s, Fish targeted children, mostly from poor families across several states. His most infamous crime was the abduction and murder of 11-year-old Grace Budd in 1928. Years later, Fish sent a horrific letter to her parents describing what he'd done, which finally led to his arrest. In 1935, he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death despite claiming insanity. On January 16, 1936, Albert Fish was executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing prison. His crimes changed how America viewed child safety and the danger of trusting strangers. Do you think it was his upbringing, or was he born this way? Comment below. Here are some creepy facts about Mary Shelley. Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein when she was just 18 years old, after a nightmare inspired by a ghost story challenge. She kept her dead husband Percy Shelley's heart wrapped in silk after he drowned. It supposedly didn't burn during his cremation. Her first child died just days after birth, and she claimed to have dreams of reviving the baby by a warm fire. She was surrounded by death. 3 of her 4 children died young, and her half-sister committed self-unaliving. Mary lost her virginity to Percy on her mother's grave in a cemetery. The idea for Frankenstein came while she stayed at Lake Geneva, the same stormy summer where Lord Byron proposed writing horror tales that birthed both Frankenstein and the first vampire story. Mary Shelley's dark imagination wasn't just fiction, it was a reflection of the tragedy and obsession that haunted her life. This is why I see religion as a harmful institution. In the 1950s, Jim Jones founded the People's Temple in Indiana, preaching equality and anti-racism. His church attracted a diverse following, but over time, Jones became controlling and paranoid. In 1965, he moved his followers to California, and by the 70s, reports surfaced of abuse, fraud, and mistreatment. To escape the negative attention, Jones moved his congregation to Guyana, South America, promising a socialist utopia. The settlement, called Jonestown, turned into a nightmare. Members faced long work hours, strict rules, censorship, and late-night drills. By 1978, concerned relatives and former members asked U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan to investigate. Ryan arrived on November 17, 1978. At first, Things seemed calm until several members asked to leave with them. The next day, Ryan's group was attacked at the nearby airstrip while trying to depart. Back at Jonestown, Jones gathered everyone in the main pavilion and told them to take a part in a final act of loyalty. Children were given a poisoned drink first, followed by the adults, surrounded by guards at gunpoint. In total, 909 people lost their lives, including Jim Jones, found dead at the scene. It remains one of the largest tragedies in modern history. Thus, my stance. People love to say thank you for your service. But as a veteran, not every one of us deserves that thanks. Some are monsters. Gary Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949, in Salt Lake City, Utah. He grew up near SeaTac, Washington. His father was a bus driver, and his mother was a sales clerk. Ridgway later claimed his mother behaved inappropriately towards him and fantasized about ending her. After graduating high school in 1969, Ridgway joined the U.S. Navy for 2 years. When he returned, he worked as a truck painter and married 3 times. In 1980, he was arrested for choking a prostitute, but wasn't charged. 2 years later, he was arrested for solicitation, then his spree began shortly after. Between 1982 and 1998, Ridgway killed dozens of women, mostly women of the night, dumping many of their bodies near or in the Green River. Police suspected him early on, but lacked evidence until DNA testing advanced. In 2001, new DNA results tied him to several victims, and he was arrested. In 2003, Ridgway pled guilty to 48 murders and admitted to killing as many as 80 women. He was sentenced to 48 life terms without parole. Thus my claim. They lived together, performed together, and chose to go together. On November 17, 2025, twin entertainers Alice and Ellen Kessler, both at age 89, died together at their home near Munich in a joint-assisted self-unaliving. The decision was confirmed by German Society for Humane Dying, which noted they had been members for over a year and underwent legal medical review in the line of German law. Born on August 20th, 1936 in East Germany, the twins trained in ballet, fled to West Germany in 1952, and launched successful careers in Europe with dancing, singing, and television. They rose to international fame in the 1950s to the 60s, performing with stars like Frank Sinatra and Fred Astaire, and became cultural icons in Germany and Italy. Their choice to end their lives together was long expressed. They previously stated they did not wish to live if the other died, and wished to be inseparable in life and death. Germany's top court in 2020 affirmed the right to self-determined death, which under assisted dying is regulated. The twins' case highlights that legal framework. The sisters are being remembered as inseparable both on and off stage, ending their lives by their own choice and together. She survived 7 years inside a box, and almost no one knew she was there. On May 19, 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan hitchhiked out of Eugene, Oregon. She accepted a ride from Cameron and Janice Hooker, a couple with a baby, under the pretext of sightseeing. Cameron pulled the car to the side of the road, held Colleen at knife point, and took her to their home in Red Bluff, California. At their home, he stripped her of her clothes, hung her by her arms from the basement rafters, whipped her, and forced her to watch while he had relations with Janice. Cameron forced Colleen to sign a master-slave contract. For 7 years, Colleen was held captive, locked in a small coffin-like wooden box under the bed, and occasionally allowed out only to be raped, whipped, and forced into chores. Cameron told her any escape attempts would result in revenge on her and her family, claiming a syndicate called The Company was watching. In March 1981, she was allowed a 24-hour visit to her family. In May 1984, she started working at a hotel, jogging unsupervised, but she still didn't leave, believing the company was a real threat. Janice eventually went to a pastor in August 1984, confessed to the existence of the box, told Colleen she could leave, and Janice became a cooperating witness. On October 31st, 1985, Cameron was convicted of kidnapping, rape, and sexual abuse. On November 22nd, he was sentenced to 104 years in prison. People call Frankenstein fiction, but the truth is, scientists were mangling corpses long before the book. In the late 1700s, Italian scientist Luigi Galvani discovered that frog muscles twitched when their nerves were touched with a scalpel. Galvani proposed the idea of animal electricity, a vital force unique to living tissues. His nephew Giovanni Aldani took the experiments further around the early 1800s. He applied electric currents to corpses of animals and executed human convicts. In public demonstrations, Aldini passed current through a recently executed convict's corpse, causing limbs to move and the face to grimace. Around the same time, scientists believed in spontaneous generation, the idea that life could emerge from non-living matter, such as maggots appearing on rotting meat. While electrical stimulation can make dead muscles twitch, it cannot restore life or voluntary movement. The vital force theory was proven wrong. These experiments and theories served as real-world inspiration for Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, published in 1818. He claimed to be a prophet, but to any rational mind, he's a byproduct of everyday religious fanaticism we experience today. David Koresh, originally known as Vernon Wayne Howell, was born on August 17, 1959 in Houston, Texas. Raised by his grandparents, he experienced abuse and dropped out of high school. Around age 20, he joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church, later opposed its leadership, and was asked to leave. In 1981, at about age 20, he joined the Branch Davidians at the Mount Carmel Center in Waco, Texas. In 1990, he legally changed his name to David Koresh, signaling his claim to a messianic figure and leader of the community. Under Koresh's leadership, the group held strong apocalyptic beliefs, practiced community arms stockpiling, and he claimed special sexual arrangements, including bearing many children, while other men remained celibate. In early 1993, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives investigated the compound for weapons and alleged sexual misconduct. On February 28, 1993, an ATF raid of Mount Carmel began. A shootout ensued with casualties on both sides. A 51-day standoff followed, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation negotiating while using tactics such as playing loud music to pressure the compound. On April 19, 1993, the compound burned. 85 people died, including Koresh himself. The event sparked lasting debates over government authority, religious freedom, and how unconventional belief systems are treated in the U.S. A passionate love affair that ended in tragedy. Jodi Ann Arias was born on July 9, 1980 in Salinas, California. In 2006, she met Travis Alexander at a conference in Las Vegas. By 2007, they were dating, but they broke up after about 5 months. However, they continued a physical relationship. On June 4, 2008, Travis Alexander was found dead in his Mesa, Arizona home. His body showed 27 stab wounds, a slit throat, and a shot to the head. Investigators identified Jodi Arias as a suspect, finding her DNA as evidence at the scene. On July 9, 2008, she was indicted for first-degree murder. In January 2013, her trial began. During the trial, she testified for 18 days, claiming she killed Travis in self-defense and alleging he had abused her. On May 8, 2013, she was convicted of first-degree murder. A sentencing retrial began in 2014 after the original jury deadlocked on the death penalty. In April 2015, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after expressing remorse. A passionate love affair that ended in tragedy. Jodi Ann Arias was born on July 9, 1980 in Salinas, California. In 2006, she met Travis Alexander at a conference in Las Vegas. By 2007, they were dating, but they broke up after about 5 months. However, they continued a physical relationship. On June 4, 2008, Travis Alexander was found dead in his Mesa, Arizona home. His body showed 27 stab wounds, a slit throat, and a shot to the head. Investigators identified Jodi Arias as a suspect, finding her DNA as evidence at the scene. On July 9, 2008, she was indicted for first-degree murder. In January 2013, her trial began. During the trial, she testified for 18 days, claiming she killed Travis in self-defense and alleging he had abused her. On May 8, 2013, she was convicted of first-degree murder. A sentencing retrial began in 2014 after the original jury deadlocked on the death penalty. In April 2015, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after expressing remorse. She had a dark fixation, and more than 31 people paid the price. Jane Toppin, born in Boston in 1857 as Honora Kelly. Her family was unstable, her mother died early, and her father couldn't care for the kids. She was sent to the Boston Female Asylum, then taken in by the Toppin family and renamed Jane. Trained as a nurse at Cambridge Hospital, known as Jolly Jane, she began experimenting on patients with morphine and atropine. Jane said she gained a sexual thrill from watching patients drift in and out of consciousness. She sometimes climbed into bed with the victims as they were dying. She worked at Massachusetts General Hospital but was fired for rule breaking. She became a private nurse and continued poisoning patients. In 1901, she poisoned members of the Davis family in Cape Cod. Suspicious deaths led to exhumations that proved poisoning. She was finally caught and arrested in October 1901. She was declared insane in 1902 after confessing to 31 murders. She was sent to the Taunton State Hospital, where she stayed until she died in 1938. She had a dark fixation, and more than 31 people paid the price. Jane Toppin, born in Boston in 1857 as Honora Kelly. Her family was unstable, her mother died early, and her father couldn't care for the kids. She was sent to the Boston Female Asylum, then taken in by the Toppin family and renamed Jane. Trained as a nurse at Cambridge Hospital, known as Jolly Jane, she began experimenting on patients with morphine and atropine. Jane said she gained a sexual thrill from watching patients drift in and out of consciousness. She sometimes climbed into bed with the victims as they were dying. She worked at Massachusetts General Hospital but was fired for rule breaking. She became a private nurse and continued poisoning patients. In 1901, she poisoned members of the Davis family in Cape Cod. Suspicious deaths led to exhumations that proved poisoning. She was finally caught and arrested in October 1901. She was declared insane in 1902 after confessing to 31 murders. She was sent to the Taunton State Hospital, where she stayed until she died in 1938. This is what happens when the arson investigator is the arsonist. John Orr was born April 26, 1949. He joined the military, then afterward, he was recruited into the Glendale Fire Department in 1974. He rose through the ranks to fire captain and gained a reputation as an arson investigator, claiming to have caught more than 40 serial arsonists. In 1984, the fatal hardware store fire at Ollie's Home Center in South Pasadena killed 4 people. Orr believed it was arson despite the sheriff's department ruling it accidental. In 1991, he published a novel, Points of Origin, in which a veteran firefighter uses his knowledge to set fires. Prosecutors later argued it mirrored his real crimes. A task force led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives matched a fingerprint from a 1987 arson device to Orr. He was eventually tried and convicted in 1998 on multiple counts of murder and arson. He was sentenced to life without parole and remains incarcerated, still writing from prison while denying that his novel was a confession. The truth behind the David case is slowly revealing itself, and there may be someone else involved. A 14-year-old girl named Celeste Rivas Hernandez went missing from Lake Elsinore. Police later found her body in the trunk of a Tesla that was linked to David. The body had been kept cold, so the time and cause of death is hard to tell. However, the police have not named David as a suspect yet. New info shows that someone else may be involved in helping hide the body. So far, videos and other clues point to both men working together. Because of this case, David's music plans had stopped. Collabs, tour dates, and promo have all been pulled. The case is still open, and experts are working diligently to find the other suspect involved. At 18 years old on November 7th, Anna Kepner was found dead on board the Carnival Horizon cruise ship, under her bed, wrapped in a blanket covered with life vests. Her death was ruled as a homicide. The cause of death was suffocation under mechanical asphyxia. Investigators told her family it may have been done using a bar hold, judging by the bruises on her neck. No signs of sexual assault, drugs, or alcohol were found. A court filing suggests that her minor stepbrother may be a possible suspect. He was the last one to see her alive and was seen leaving her cabin after she had entered it. The FBI is still investigating this case as new evidence reveals itself. This killer was finally identified, but years too late. In 1997, a delivery driver found 45-year-old Margaret Anselmo in an alley in Spokane. She had been attacked and killed by blunt force trauma to the head. Police collected DNA samples, but no match was found in the CODIS, the Combined DNA Index System, so the case went cold. In 2022, investigators sent old evidence to Othram for advanced DNA testing. A new DNA profile led to genealogy work. This pointed to Brian James Anderson, who was 20 at the time of the crime, but died in 2009 from self-unaliving. The ID finally gave answers and closure to the victim's family. Nearly 30 years later, Tupac's case is finally moving again. It was September 7th, 1996, after a boxing match in Las Vegas. Tupac leaves the casino with his entourage. At a red light, a white Cadillac pulls up and opens fires. Tupac is hit 4 times. He is rushed to the hospital and placed on life support. On September 13th, 1996, Tupac succumbs to his wounds. Years later, in 2023, Dwayne Keith Davis, Keefy D, is arrested and charged in connection to the murder. He pleaded not guilty, thus, the case is still active today. What are your thoughts on the matter? Here's the grim reality of spontaneous combustion. Spontaneous combustion means something catches fire from inside, where heat builds up until it bursts into flame. In nature, it happens sometimes in piles of hay, coal, or oily rags, when internal chemical reactions or slow oxidation create enough heat to ignite. For humans, the idea is that a body might ignite itself from within without any external flame. But scientists say there's no confirmed case where a human spontaneously burst into flame without an external source. Most suspected cases have a more plausible explanation. For example, a small ignition like the end of a smoke stick, or lighting the tip of a candle that causes burning. With this case, something lit externally makes contact with the body. Its fat and clothing act as fuel for a slow wick effect burn. This is also known as the wick effect. Grim Realities Part 4. On November 23rd, 18-year-old George Smythe set out alone hiking from Poyana Braziv toward Bran Castle, the one associated with Dracula. Before we continue, if the macabre intrigues you, be sure to click that like and subscribe button. Later that day, he called emergency services from the mountains, reporting exhaustion and hypothermia. When the rescue teams arrived where he called for help, they only found his backpack, which included a sleeping bag, a tent, and food. Despite searches with helicopters, drones, sniffer dogs, and thermal cameras, no sign of George has been found. The weather grew too harsh where the search had to unfortunately be called off until the weather improves. Let's hope he manages and has a safe return. What do you think may have happened to him? Grim Realities Part 5. On December 5th, 2025 at 4:50 p.m., a man was attacked with a knife on a light rail train in Charlotte, North Carolina. Before we continue, if the macabre intrigues you, be sure to like and subscribe. Now back to the video. The suspect, 33-year-old Oscar Solorzano, was arrested shortly after the incident. He is charged with attempt first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon with serious injury, carrying a concealed weapon, plus related counts. The victim was taken to a hospital with serious injuries, though police say he is in stable condition. Solorzano is being held without bond. Authorities say he was here illegally and had prior deportations. This is months after the tragic passing of Irina Zarutska that occurred on the same light rail train. Grim Realities Part 6. If the macabre intrigues you, be sure to like and subscribe. On October 11th, 2025, Ian Watkins, former lead singer of Lost Prophets, was found stabbed in the neck at HMP Wakefield Prison in England. He was pronounced dead at the scene when emergency services had arrived. Watkins had been in prison since 2013 after pleading guilty to multiple child schmex offenses, including the attempt in rape of an infant. When his actions came to light, his former band members expressed pure anger and disgust upon discovering his true character. This world is a dangerous place. Keep your loved ones safe. 1 second could change everything. Grim Realities Part 8. If the macabre or disturbing facts intrigue you, be sure to like and subscribe. In 2002, Marina Lacerda met Jeffrey Epstein at age 14. She was recruited for massages that turned into sexual abuse that lasted for years, also witnessing many young girls coming and going. Epstein later stopped seeing her when she was around 16 to 17 years old, deeming her too old. In 2008, she talked with investigators, but a secret deal blocked her from testifying. In 2019, her story helped the FBI build the schmex trafficking case against Epstein, which led to his arrest. He later died of a sudden self-unaliving in his cell, in which we all know wasn't one at all. On September 3rd, 2025, Marina spoke publicly for the first time about the abuse she had endured. For her and the victims of Epstein and his associates, let the files finally be released with no special protections or immunities. A mass shooting occurred at a birthday party in Stockton, California on November 29, 2025. Around 6 p.m., gunfire broke out outside the party hall as multiple shooters wearing all black with face coverings fired at the crowd. 4 people were killed, including 3 children, along with more than a dozen others injured. Before we continue, if the macabre intrigues you, be sure to like and subscribe. Now back to the video. Authorities say about 50 bullets were fired from at least 5 guns. As of now, no arrests have been made. Investigators are still looking for suspects as the case unfolds.